So today we're looking at Chapter 2, Lesson 6, which is Sales Tax, Tips, and Markup. So for the warm-up, it says, Alonzo plans to buy a new kayak that costs $2,100. But when he buys a kayak, it actually costs more because he lives in a county where there is a 7% sales tax. Okay? No, so number one says you can find the amount of tax on an item by multiplying the price by the sales tax. So here, the sales tax is 7%. The cost is $2,100. If I wrote my what number is question, that would be what number is 7% of 2,100. Okay, so this shows you why you can just multiply the tax percentage times the amount. So when I translate this English question to math, we're going to get what number is 7%. So remember, you have to change the percent to a decimal before you put it into the equation. So 0.07 times, of means multiply, times 2,100. And then when you multiply that, you get x is equal to $147. So that $147 is the sales tax. Is everybody with me? That is the sales tax. So now that is $147 here. So number 2 says, how much is he going to pay for the kayak? If you look up here, the kayak costs $2,100, right? The sales tax, we figured it out, was $147. And then if I add those together, we're going to get $2,247. Very good. Now, number 3 says multiply 1.07 times 2,100. And then we want to know, how does the result compare to your example in problem 2? Very good. So when you multiply 1.07 and 2,100, you get the same thing. Huh. Well, why is that? Well, the 0.07, that is what? What is the 0.07? That's the sales tax, right? 0.07, right? So what's the 1? The 1 represents the 100%, which is the 100% of the kayak. Does that make sense? So here, if I add the 100% of the kayak plus the 7% tax, then that's going to give me 1.07. So there's two different ways that you can figure out this problem. You can find out the sales tax, then add it to the original price, right, to get the total price. Or you can add the amount, the whole amount plus the percent at the beginning, and then multiply to get the customer amount. So sales tax and total cost. I want you to make sure you write down these definitions. Okay? The sales tax is an additional amount of money charged on items that people buy. And the total cost of an item is the regular price plus the sales tax. So for example 1, it says Drew wants to buy exercise equipment that costs $140, and the sales tax is 5.75%. We want to know what is the total cost of the equipment. Now remember, just like we talked about in the warm-up, there are 2 different ways that we can do this. The first method is to find the sales tax and add it to the regular price. The second method is to add the percent of the tax to the 100% of the total amount that he's paying for the equipment. Okay? So for method 1, we're going to write our what number is question. It would be, what number is 5.75% of $140? Let me grab that question. Filled in. Grab that what number is question. Go back here. Change the color to red. Okay. So we would say, what number is 5.75%? Spilled my coffee. 5.75% of $140. Everybody see where I got my what number is question? Everybody with me on that? Okay. So the what number is question is, what number is 5.75% of $140? So we're going to translate that question to the math. So what number is, that's T equals, and they put T for tax. P equals the 5.75%, we have to change that to a decimal before we put it, so that we can put it into the equation. So we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left, and that gives us 0.0575. And then of means times 140. Does everybody see there's the percent equation? And then when we multiply, we get $8.05. That amount is the tax. Okay? This is the tax. So the second step in method 1 is to add the tax to the original amount so that you can get the total cost of the equipment. Now, method 2 is to add the percent of the tax to 100% of the equipment. So, if I'm going to write my what number is question, the original, the tax is 5.75, but we want to add that 5.75 to 100%. So this is going to be 100 plus 5.75, so that's going to give me 105.75. Does everybody see how that changes? Okay? So on this part, when we are finding out the total amount, we're not finding the tax. We're going straight to finding the total amount that the customer is paying. So here, what number is, that's the T equals, 105.75%. When we move the decimal 2 places to the left, that gives us 1.0575. Does everybody see that? Times the total amount, which is 140. So when we do that, we get the same amount, $148.05. All right, so for the got it, it says, what is the total cost of a sweatshirt if the regular price is $42 and the sales tax is 5.5%? So for method 1, we're going to do both methods. I'll put method 1 here, and we'll do method 2 over there, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to write our what number is questions, right? So here we would have what number is, the sales tax is 5.5%, right? Can I go ahead and put this and say 5.5%? Is that all right with you guys? 5.5% of, what's the total amount? 42. So what number is 5.5% of 42? If this said 5 1/3% or something like that, where it would not give you a terminating decimal, you would have to leave it as a fraction. Okay? So here, what number is 5.5% of $42? Okay. On the other side, if I were going to write my what number is question, on this side, what would I have to change? How would I change this question? I would have to add the 5.5% to the 100%. So 100 plus 100 plus 5.5 is going to be 105.5%. Is everybody with me? So now we can go ahead and write our percent equations for both of them. Okay? So we're going to write our percent equation. What number is? That's going to be x equals, or you can write t equals for tax. The 5.5%, don't forget that decimal has to move 2 places to the left, and then we take away the percent sign. So this is going to be 0.055. And then of 42, that's going to be times $42. Okay? On the other side over here, we're going to write our what number is question, and that's going to be x equals, and once again, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left and take away our percent sign, and that's going to give us 1.055. And we're going to multiply that times 42. Does everybody see the difference between the two? Okay? And now we just multiply. So, for the first one, we've got 0.055 times 42, and that's going to give us 2.31. So here, x is equal to $2.31. And that, of course, is the tax. Okay, so what do I have to do with that tax? You need to add it to the total amount, or to the original cost, right? So the total price, is going to be equal to the regular price, which is $42, plus the tax, which is $2.31, and what do we get? We get $44.31, and that is how much the customer has to pay. Okay? If I look at the other side here, we can just go ahead and do that multiplication. 1.055 times 42, and take a look. $44.31. Same thing. Is everybody clear? So here, x again is equal to $44.31. Okay. On your homework, you don't have to do both ways. You don't have to do both ways, just one or the other, but I want you to practice both. Okay? All right, so tips and markups. Make sure you write down these definitions. The tip, or the gratuity, is a small amount of money in return for a service. Okay, and just like with the tax, the total price is the regular price plus the tip. Okay? Markup is the amount of increase that a store sells items for. A store sells items for more than it pays for those items. Okay? So, for example, if you are buying a pair of sneakers from the store, and you pay, I don't know, $85, right? The store did not pay $85 to have those sneakers in the store. The store maybe paid $35. I'm just guessing, okay? They paid $35, but they're charging you a markup amount so that they can cover profit. They can make a profit, and that they can cover like money for rent and things like that. Okay, so stores mark up an item so that they cover costs and make a profit. Okay. The selling price is the amount that a customer pays for the item. So the selling amount is like the $85. Okay? So make sure you write those down. For example 2, it says a customer wants to tip 15% on a restaurant bill that costs $35. What will be the total bill with the tip. So here, once again, there's method 1 and method 2. You can write your what number is question. Your what number is 15% of 35, okay, for the method 1. Then you can write your percent equation, so that's going to be T is equal to 0.15 times 35, and you get $5.25. That's the amount of the tip. That's the amount of the tip. Now, once you find the amount of the tip, then you have to add it to the total bill. So that's $5.25 plus the $35. So you're going to be paying $40.25. Okay? You could also use method 2, where you would add 100% of the bill. That's the 100%, the 35. Plus we would add the 15%. So that would be 100 plus 15%. That's 115%. So that's going to give you the total amount that you're going to pay. So that would be the what number is 115% of 35. And of course, you get the same amount. Example 3 here says a haircut costs $20. The sales tax is 4.75%. We want to know, is $25 sufficient to cover the haircut with tax and a 15% tip? Okay, so on this example, we're gonna use method 2. Okay, where we just add up all the percents. So actually, no, we're using method 1. We're just going to add up the percents. So here, let's see. The sales tax is 4.75%. Then they want to add a tip, so that's 15%. So we want to know what number is 19.75% of $20. Does everybody see how I got my what number is question? So when I translate that, it becomes T is equal to the 19.75% becomes 0.1975 times the $20. Times the $20. So that's going to give us a $3.95 for tip and tax. Now we want to add that to the $20 that it costs to get this haircut. So our total amount is $23.95. Do we have enough money to pay for this haircut? Yes, we do. All right, so for this got it problem, it says Scott wants to tip his taxi cab driver 20%. If his commute costs $15, what is the total cost? Okay, so now that brings me to this mental math tip here. It says 10% of a number can be found by moving the decimal one place to the left. Okay? So, if we can move the decimal one place to the left to get 10%, then to get 20%, we just have to multiply what we got for the 10% times 2. Is everybody with me? So, if I look at this one, we have Scott wants to tip his taxi cab driver 20%. It costs $15 for the trip. So if I have $15, that's how much the trip is going to cost, $15. If I want to find 10% of $15, can I just move the decimal here one place to the left? Yes. So what is 10% of 15? 1.5. So that's going to be $1.50, right? So that is 10%. But we want how much? We want 20%. So 20%, what am I going to do with this $1.50? Multiply it times 2. So $1.50 times 2 is $3. Does everybody see how we did that mental math? So that's $3. So now, to find out what the total cost, I'm going to put total cost, TC, is going to be equal to the amount that it costs for the ride, $15, plus the 20% tip, which is $3. So how much is he going to give to the cab driver? $18. Is everybody clear with that? So for example C, we're going to use method 2. I'm going to put method 2 here to solve. So example C says find the total cost of a spa treatment of $42, including 6% tax and 20% tip. Okay, so if I look at all the percents that we're going to pay extra, we're going to pay 6% tax, and we're going to pay 20% tip, right? So that's going to be 20% plus 6%, that's going to be 26%, right? But we are also going to pay 100% of the spa treatment. Is everybody with me? So that means here that we have to also add 100% for the spa treatment. So that's going to give us 126%. Very good. Is everybody clear how I got it? That's going to give me the total amount. So now I'm going to write my what number is question. All right, so now we're going to write our what number is question. So we want to know what number is 126% of how many dollars? $42. And now we can use our percent equation to translate this English sentence to a math sentence. So we have X equals, for the 126%, don't forget, what do I have to do to that percent? Change it to a decimal by moving this decimal 2 places to the left and take away the percent sign, right? So that's going to be 1.26, and we're going to multiply that times 42. Got it? So 1.26 times 42 gives you what? $52.92. Very good. So X is equal to $52.92. Is everybody clear? I will write the work for method 1, so that is also on the recording, okay, or the printed notes. Example 4 says a store pays $56 for a GPS navigation system. The markup is 25%. Find the selling price. So on this one, our what number is question would be what number is 25% of $56. Okay, so here's how they found the markup. Okay, so what number is, that's M equals 25%, changes it, we have to change it to a decimal, the percent to a decimal, and then we're going to multiply times the $56. So that gives us a $14 markup. So now we have to add that $14 to the $56 that the store pays for the GPS system, and that gives us the final selling price. Is everybody clear? All right, so let's do example D. And we will use method 1 for this one, okay? Method 1. Because we want to find the markup, right? So a store pays $150 for a portable basketball backboard, and the markup is 40%. What is the selling price? So our what number is question is what number is 40% of $150, okay? So now we can translate to a math sentence. So X equals the 40% becomes we need to change that to a decimal. So that's going to be 0.40, or 0.4, times 150. So when we multiply 0.4 times 150, what do you get? $60. So X is equal to $60. What does that that $60 represent? Mm-mm. The markup. That's the markup price. Okay? So that amount gets added to what? How much the store paid, right? So the selling price, I'm going to put SP, is equal to 150 plus that $60, which equals what? $210. Right. $210. Okay, coming back to example 3, problem C. Now I'm going to do this one using method 1. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to write our what number is question. So it says find the total cost of a spa treatment of $42, including the 6% tax and a 20% tip. Okay, so that means that we're going to have to do two problems here. We're going to find 6% tax, and we're going to find the 20% tip on the $42. So our what number is questions will be what number is 6% of 42 and what number is 20% of 42. So when we do that, we're going to translate English to math. So that's going to be X is 0.06 because we want to change the percent to a decimal by moving the decimal 2 places to the left. And then we're going to multiply that times 42. So when we have 0.06 times 42, that's going to give us $2.52. So X is equal to $2.52. So now we need to figure out how much we're going to tip on $42. So that's going to be X is equal to, and then once again, we're going to change this percent to a decimal by moving the decimal 2 places to the left and taking away the percent sign. So that's going to be 0.20 or 0.2, either one is fine. And then we're going to multiply that times 42. So when we multiply, we end up with 0.2 times 42, and that's going to give us $8.40. So X is equal to $8.40. Now, these are the amounts. Let's see. This is the tax, and this is the tip. Okay? So, to find the total cost, we're going to add, let's see, the total cost is equal to the spa treatment, we'll just say the spa, plus the tax, plus the tip. And that's how we get our total cost. So we have 42 plus the $2.52 plus the tip, which is the $8.40. So when we add all those together, we have 42 plus $2.52 plus $8.40, And that gives us the same amount, $52.92. So we end up with $52.92 for the total cost of the spa treatment.